Hello and welcome back. Just a short video, radio based again. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the President Grant 2. I'm getting quite a lot of people commenting me on Facebook and on YouTube, asking me what kind of radio I should buy, what radio I should start with, etc. And it all comes down to really money, unfortunately. But if you can afford to buy a sort of multi-mode radio with sideband, I would say certainly go for it. It will cost you more money, of course, but then once you've got the sideband radio, you've then got all of the bands. And probably at the top of the tree is the President Grant 2. It's been out quite a while now, but it is a very nice radio. The first thing you notice about it is the build quality for a CB radio. The way all of the buttons and the knobs, the way they work, how tactile they are. It does have a very nice solid feel to it. Also, it's not too complicated. It does have, the buttons have multi-functions like you get on most things nowadays, but it's not an in-depth menu type based radio like a lot of the CRT sort of French and some of the China radios are, where you have to go into about 40 different options on the menu. It is a little bit sort of easier to understand. Now, if it's your first sideband radio, I think one of its best features is that it does have a very forgiving clarifier, which is the sort of bit that some people have trouble with when you first go on sideband. It can be a little bit daunting getting used to using the clarifier for the first time, but the clarifier on the Grant 2, it is very easy to use. It's got a very wide range, and it is sort of, it's not as sensitive as what you get on the CRT radios. It is a lot sort of easier to kind of clarify people in. I like the display as well. You've got the very large power meter, which does sort of give you a chance to give people their sort of reading. It can double up as an SWR meter as well when you transmit. It does usual things. I mean, you can sort of dim the display. You can change colour if you prefer to have it orange. It's not too bad. I think I kind of prefer the green. You can dim it as well. One of the things I think it lacks is that on the receive it hasn't got a RF control. So you do have a local DX button, which will knock out a lot of the interference and the distance stations, and I do use that on occasion, but I would have preferred if they could have maybe somehow fitted a separate RF control so you could have adjusted it. It's a little bit how can I say, well, strong. It's like an on-off sort of switch. And again, with the mic gain, you've got a mic gain high and low. Now, in general, the standard microphone, what you get, it works quite well. I've had some good reports on it, but the original Grant 2, which is this one, I do believe there's a premium model which may have been had this problem corrected, but the original Grant 2 is a little bit quiet with the standard microphone. So if you switch the mic gain down to low, it's not really any good at all. That is too quiet. But overall, people ask me what do I prefer. Should I get a Super Star 9900 or should I get a Grant 2? I'm going to say that, to be honest, if you've got the money and you're sort of getting into sideband CB for the first time, you really could go a lot worse than to get yourself a Grant 2. It's what I started with, and it's a great learning radio. Now, another thing as well, which might be important to a lot of people, it was when I started, it is a UK legal sideband radio, and it's kind of pretty much one of the only, I think, UK legal sideband radios. I mean, everything's kind of gone to 10 meter style radios with the sort of 6900, the 9900, but this one is out of the box. It is completely UK legal. So this gives you 4 watts on FM, it gives you 4 watts on AM, and it gives you a full 12 watts on sideband. Now, to be honest, on sideband, 12 watts can get you out a long way if you've got a decent antenna, and it's all about the antenna, of course. It's not about how much power you're putting out. But 12 watts, I use this on 12 watts for quite some time, and you know, when the conditions are right, you can get DX and you can go all over Europe on this, on 12 watts. 4 watts on FM, depending on your location, depending on how many people you've got in your area, can be a little bit low, to be honest. You know, even with my Entron 99, I can get out on 4 watts, but I can't get really my 15 to 20 mile contacts, not sufficiently cutting through the local noise. But however, if you do want to run a small little linear and you don't mind kind of drifting over to the dark side and becoming non-compliant with Ofcom regulations, then the 4 watts into, say, an RM203 linear, for example, is pretty much about right. That might give you something like 30 to 40 watts output for a linear and off-M, and that's plenty. And then 12 watts at peak into a linear as well is also about right. It's about probably half its recommended maximum power, and 12 watts in on a peak probably gives you 60 watts, 70 watts out, something like that, and that is more than enough, you know, on sideband. So yeah, overall I think these are a great radio. They're really nice to own. The only criticism I've got maybe is on the receive. They receive pretty well, they're quite sensitive, but this particular one I've got does pick up a lot more local QRM or things like interference. And you know, depending where you live, I live in a very sort of concentrated kind of housing type estate, and you know, people using microwave ovens, switching on and off power supplies and things, I do get a lot of local interference on the Grant 2. It's a bit sensitive to that, where I notice with the Super Star radios they filter it out, and with the HF radios I don't get anything at all. So that might be my only criticism, that it is a little bit sensitive. I've got some very distant stations on today. I don't think I've got anyone really. I've just got some distant stations on, so there we go. That's just a very brief look at the Grant 2. I mean, if you go on, you know, you search on YouTube, there's some really good in-depth videos about all the menus and all the buttons do and things like that. So this is Fred in the shed, you know. I kind of like cheat a little bit. I don't go right into that, but you know, that's a little quick look at the Grant 2 and what I think about it. What I'll do, this video is going to go on a bit too long, so what I'll do is I will now add a video that Steve Stevens very kindly took for me the other day when I was speaking to him on the Grant 2, and you can hear what the receive sounds like from the Grant 2. I think he was about 10 miles out, and he's on a Super Star 9900, and he was just pulled over and shot a bit of video. So I'm going to add this to the end of this video so you can hear what the radio sounds like at the other end. And then what I'll do is I'll get a proper radio check with Tango Mike 061, and then I'll put that on as a part 2 video. So if you're interested, you can go along, and then when I get onto that video I will demonstrate how the Grant 2 sounds on FM, and also we'll go on to sideband, and I'll also show you the high cut feature as well. It's got a very good high cut feature, and then we'll have a little play with the clarifier, and I'll show you how easy the clarifier is to work and how easy it is to really get people clarified pin sharp. Okay, but that will be in part 2, so this ends part 1. So cheers, thanks for watching, and stay safe, and I'll catch you all on the next one.
Yeah, roger, yeah, Charlie Tango 1664 on the return to 318 mobile. So yeah, I'm running the President Grant 2, which is running through a little bit of additional power, running it through a little 203 linear. So I'm not quite sure the wattage, but I would guess it's probably around about 40 watts, 45 watts, you know, just on a normal modulation. And yeah, running the standard President microphone on the Grant 2. I have tried a power mic on this radio before, and to be honest I didn't see any improvement. So just running the standard microphone. It does run a little bit quiet, I must admit. The President does tend to be a little bit quiet on the modulation. I think they've fixed that on the premium model, which is the later model. So yeah, just running that into the Entron 99 with the fire up kit, which is bolted to the side of the house. And I would estimate we're probably, I don't know, it's 12 miles, 13 miles, something like that apart at this stage, through a lot of built-up terrain, of course. So I'm getting quite a good signal from you. I've managed to switch to local DX, which is good. I'm getting about an S4 from you, and yeah, audio is good, spot on the clarifier, 12 o'clock. So yeah, all is good. So yeah, Charlie Tango 16 at 64, 318 return.